it's possible to join a table with itself. Joining a table with itself is a good idea if you need to match up information on two different rows at the same time. So for example, if you want to create one row with the names of two different actors, or one row with the names of two different movies, you would need to join a table with itself. When you do so, aliases are required because you can't refer to a table by its name anymore if it shows up twice in the join. Here's an example. Let's create a table of remakes, two movies that have the same title but were made in different years. Here's the query. Start with the from, titles joined with titles. I've used an alias. These are the old movies, these are the new movies. What makes them old? Well, that's the on clause. The on clause joins two different rows with the same title, but they're not the same row because the years are different. The old row has a year that's smaller than the new row. Now we can hop to the select column description. We're getting the title of the old, which is the same as the title of the new. It's the title of the movie. And we see the first and second creation of this movie as the old year and the new year. Here's the result. There have been many remakes, of course, but our database of 1,000 movies is focused on ones that actually have a high rating. And usually the remakes are bad. So here are two examples where both the first and second version were good, highly rated. How to Train Your Dragon was animated in 2010, and then there was a live action version in 2025. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was made by a Swedish film company and then an American film company 2 years later. Now, why is it the case that to get this result, we need to join the titles table with itself? The answer is if an output row depends on data from two input rows. What are the two input rows that went into this output row? Well, in the original titles table, there were two different rows with the title How to Train Your Dragon, the 2010 version and the 2025 version. They had different run times, different tconst values, even different genres since this one was animated. But since they had the same title, they ended up in our output because old title was equal to new title even though the years were different. And these two rows were used to build this one row in the output. Here's another case where you might want to self-join. To find lead actors, those are ordering number one actors, that also play another character in the movie. So we're going to create a table with two columns, lead and other, that contains pairs of characters from the same movie where the lead is the first ordering and the other is some other ordering, but they're played by the same actor. Here's part of the result, that the characters Superman and Clark Kent were played by the same actor. Actually, there's lots of superheroes in here. But there are some other cases, like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future plays Marty McFly, the main character, but also plays his son. And in fact, also plays his daughter, and also plays his great-great-great-grandfather. Now, how do we use SQL to discover all this? Let's look at the principals table so that we know what we're working with. This has all the character names, so this is the only table we need. We don't need to know the name of the movie. We don't need to know the name of the actor. We just need to match up two different rows of the principals table that have two different characters from the same movie that are played by the same actor. Here is a template for how to compute this result from this principals table. Why don't you think about it for a minute? Just pause the video, and then when you're ready, unpause it, and we'll take a look at the answer in 3, 2, 1. We're going to join principals with itself. In order to get two different rows from the principals table, that will give us two different characters, but we do need to check to make sure that the first character is the number one ordering actor, the main character in the movie. So that's the ordering equals 1. That the other has some higher ordering. They're both actors, and some on condition. Well, that's the delicate part. First, we take principals table and join it with itself, aliasing so that A refers to a row from principals and B refers to another row from principals. Because of what's down here, we can see that A is the one that's the lead actor and B is the other one. But how do we make sure they're from the same movie? Well, you write A.tconst equals B.tconst. That is the column that tells us which movie we're talking about. How do we make sure that it's the same actor? Well, A.nconst equals B.nconst means that both of these characters are played by the same person. And from there, we just select A.character as the lead and B.character as the other.